Another amazing thing about immigration is that compared to these enormous gains that I've been talking about, the objections are so small by comparison. When you try to put a price tag on the complaints, it just comes out to a tiny, here I lost my train of thought. When you try to put a price tag on the complaints, it is such a tiny fraction of the gains, you really have to wonder what all the fuss is about. Now, I've only got a short amount of time, so I'm going to go fast. All right, one big complaint about immigration is that immigrants come to the welfare state and they become a burden on it. This is one where you have to do a lot of math in order to see whether it makes sense because, yes, immigrants use services from the government. They also pay taxes. How does it actually all work out? But when people do crunch the numbers, the numbers come out to be much more favorable than most people would think. Immigrants that the U.S. currently gets, very neutral, boring people, when they go and do the math, come away and say it looks like immigrants that we get are already a net benefit, that they are in fact, over the course of their existence, they are causing the deficit to go down, not up, because the value of the taxes they pay exceeds the value of the services they use. There are also, of course, big cultural complaints, which when you look at the news seem big, but when you actually walk around countries where people are complaining about big cultural differences, see, they just are not that serious. When you go to places that people are saying are so terrible from immigration, I've been there, it's fine. People are making a mountain out of a molehill, and this is because that is what the media does. If you could have the safest country in the world, but one bad thing happens, that one bad thing goes on the news and gives people their idea about how things actually work out. I mean, the last big complaint people have about immigration is that they change domestic politics. And main thing you would say there is most people who say this, again, don't bother actually looking at the numbers and seeing how foreigners really do vote compared to natives. I have done this. The main thing you see is that the gaps between what foreigners think and what natives think are generally quite small. There are marginal differences, but it is not the night and day difference that people would lead you to expect. The one difference that I would say is notable is right now it is true that immigrants in the United States tend to be a lot more democratic, but this was not true back in the 1980s. So what has changed? The main thing that's changed is not the immigrant values. Rather, what has changed is which party do immigrants feel actually has a positive attitude towards them, which party do immigrants feel respects them more. And if that's the problem, the remedy is not to keep immigrants out, a charm offensive to actually try to win over immigrants and show them that you are their friend and not their enemy. Last thing, by the way, is it's also true that immigrants don't vote very much. So even if they did vote badly, they vote rarely. Which again means that when you are trying to actually put numbers on the problems, you wind up getting at most a small downside compared to the vast upside, which, as I said, a reasonable estimate is something like a doubling of the production of the human race.